Brian here at 5-Star Engines. Well, we're working on a lawnmower. It's a beauty. Toro with the Briggs and Stratton. Says guaranteed to start. Ha! Well, it wouldn't start, and that's why it's here. One of the problems, I've seen this with a few of these machines, it has what I call a wind vane that's driven off the flywheel fan. And there's a bolt here, and it runs down. And this piece of plastic, this bolt, on the bottom has a shoulder. Now, the idea is that that shoulder bottoms out on the carb body, and this piece of plastic can float up and down. When I got this machine, this arm actuates this lever, which actuates the choke plate. So at a high speed, it cranks it open so the choke is not on. I took this off, the cover off, to get at the carburetor. And one thing I noticed, the choke plate was stuck. So I went to move it. And what I did was I went to move the wind vane, and it was hanging up. Now, there's a lot of clearance in there. The wind from the flywheel, the fins on the flywheel, drives wind, and that opens that up. The choke is pulled closed by a spring at startup. But I had removed this already. I've had it on the bench. Obviously, it's apart. The choke plate on its own with this arm off this wind vane opens freely. It is not stuck. But what has happened, and I'm going to try to undo this bolt. I only have it in a few threads, so I can actually show you what to look for. Try and take this bolt out. We're just going to wait 1 second here. Not the best thing to do. But I want to get this bolt out and show you the shoulder. And what's happened is the shoulder is not, well, actually, the plastic wind vane is shorter than the shoulder. So if you can just bear with me here for a second. And we're back. So there's our bolt. You see that shoulder? I'm going to bring it up against a dark background. There's the shoulder. Now, from the head of that bolt, up here, under that flange, to the shoulder on the bottom, that's supposed to be longer than that plastic arm on that wind vane. Okay? And the idea is that that wind vane can float on that smooth part of that bolt. The problem is, for some reason, it's binding. And that's what's causing it not to start properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over and we're going to take this wind vane off. And I'm going to measure with a set of vernier calipers the length of that bolt and the length of the bottom of this wind vane. And I'm going to remove some material so that when I put it on, this wind vane can actually bounce up and down a little bit. Now that won't hurt anything. Okay? It has to float up and down because the bolt was actually tightening down on the wind vane, and when the wind vane turned into a spot, it stuck. And that kept the choke wide open. And it wouldn't start. He had trouble starting it. Well, the choke wasn't choking. So there you go. So this is something we're going to work on. And there's something that can happen. I've seen this a couple of times. How or why it happens, I don't know. Perhaps, I don't know. I don't know. But I know that it's not right because it sticks and the choke is stuck open and you can't start it. So once again, I'll be removing some material from there. I'll be measuring it with my vernier calipers, machinist by trade. And I'm going to just file that flat and square and smooth and give it some clearance. So when I put it together, this wind vane will be able to move up and down a little bit. 32nd of an inch, good enough. Okay? So there you go. There's something that comes up. We thank you for watching. And hey, please like and subscribe 5-Star Engines. Have a great day.